we prepare for our second fight here now. We're going straight into Cursed Hollow. Dignitas will actually have to pick themselves as Team Liquid will elect to have first pick.
Dignitas sitting at 3 wins, 1 losses on the Battleground. Picked it twice already. This is the 3rd time. Liquid struggling a bit more. It's actually their weakest map. 1 win, 2 losses. Again, sample sizes are, of course, pretty small at this point, but Liquid definitely not great on the Battleground here. I don't think for Dignitas that matters too much. They feel that right now on the bigger map with an added macro level through potential global play.
Yeah.
They feel comfortable there. It's kind of telling that you pick a map against Team Liquid, which oftentimes teams don't want to play against them, just simply because they play a lot with Abathur. In the past, Vikings were a big idea for them, which oftentimes even forced out bans, even though they didn't really try and go into that. But Dignitas is incredibly confident right now, and for very good reason. They have the 1-0 lead, they looked very dominant, they were never threatened in any way on map number 1. So Cursed Hollow, good macro game with a lot of short call opportunities to get an advantage through boss plays, tributes, and also global soaking.
Dignitas is very comfortable with running with the shot call style that you were just mentioning there. They've been running 3-1-1 on this Battleground, and even missing out on some aggressive pushes for Giants or Mercenary camps, just attempting to take down your turrets, set up boss lanes, and then wait for you to make a mistake, and then punish you heavily. So Team Liquid needs to be aware of that, and they're already addressing that in the drought. Sergeant Hammer has been banned out. Sergeant Hammer is great in a 3-1-1 rotation.
A hero that we might see here is Medivh. That's something I could see on Dignitas sides, actually on both, but more so on Dignitas than for Team Liquid, but we have seen some Medivh play from them. Medivh, a hero that has been played in other series quite frequently, but open for now. And this is a map where we have seen both teams run that hero, and he's definitely a game changer. So it could come to play here. First thing that happens though is Team Liquid catering towards the map. You want to go for the global here, the macro style. We pointed it out as the map was chosen. It's a big map. You want to play around global pressure, around global experience soak, and the Haka, of course, fits that bill perfectly. So Team Liquid picking it very early to make sure that Dignitas can't play around them.
Yeah, this map and Towers of Doom are probably your best Haka maps to move into. Just having the ability to also to jump around the map thanks to that Brush Stalker. You have many angles to come in from too, so it's hard for your opponent to set up and make sure that they're prepared completely for it. They also have Hanzo and Garrosh coming out for Team Dignitas.
The priority on Hanzo is pretty strong these days, especially Dignitas started to play Hanzo a lot as a first pick on Infernal Shrines because they said they wanted to have something more aggressive set up for themselves. The same idea transfers over to Cursed Hollow, where you have with 2 bosses also a lot of playmaking potential and shot calling potential, since he can get the objective that quickly. So he adds a lot of value to your composition. And we have him seen now as one of the higher prioritized picks on the map, just simply because of that added mercenary pressure you can put into play.
I like Garrosh against Haka as well, just being able to step up and say, I want to force this fight now. You can make him brush off a little bit on the quicker side. And if he does also, you later in the stage, you have taunt available. You can make sure that flank that he's coming in for you, if you can peel back to him, you can lock him down for your team. And he has a hard time escaping before you can actually destroy him. Thrall, banned out once again from Team Dignitas, staying away from this triple melee that Team Liquid has been showing.
Yeah, I really like it. Again, it's something that Liquid is feeling very comfortable with. They played it a lot, they played Thrall a lot. Liquids, they can't be surprised by this. This is just their opponent doing their homework. This is nothing ingenious that Dignitas does right now. It's just Dignitas studying what Team Liquid has been doing in the past few weeks, realizing how much of a priority Thrall has in that gameplay style, and that Arcana obviously took a lot of his inspiration from the Eastern Clash and the Korean meta here. So this is a great 3rd ban for them. Even higher priority in game number 1. Medivh, that I pointed out a bit earlier as a potential hero to be played, gets actually banned by Team Liquid because they're afraid of the exact same thing.
Maiev. I was wondering about a Greymane coming out, but Maiev slips on through the draft, and there's Blaze as well. Team Dignitas has the ability to force fights. Oh my gosh, Dragon's Arrow, Garrosh combo, Maiev moving in for a tether. Containment distance we've been seeing more often, but even room for Warden's Cage here.
I mean, you ban Medivh, and that's a snitch hero, but then he goes into Maiev. So there's these 2 heroes where you know that you can play them, and it's a question. It's one of these pick your poison situations, right? What is the one hero that you feel you have an easier time dealing with? And they decided that they would rather deal with a Maiev than with a Medivh pick here. Reset potential now coming in for Team Liquid through Li Ming, and a lot of poke with Li Ming and Junkrat. But there's definitely a lot of poke from afar, and also Li Ming in particular can follow. Both of them can actually really follow up well on Storm Bolts, either with damage or with a concussion grenade and simply flipping someone into the backline.
It's a Whitemane for additional locked down for Dignitas after Harsh Discipline comes online at 13.
Even Malfurion would be really good here. Yeah, Malf taken. I feel white main for them is more so in Infernal Shrines insta-lock.
Yeah.
That's what we are seeing a lot from them. Just the way that the objective plays.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons why they're not quite snap picking it here. Instead, we're having Malfurion.
Which he gives you the immediate follow-up for Garrosh too. You have that root right down.
I mean, good draft again on both sides. I really like what we have from Team Liquid a bit more. They eliminated a lot of the big picks that we wanted, that Dignitas probably wanted to see here. It's still that Maya factor that's going to be extremely important though. If Snitch can get those tethers and really set those triple melee style, those corridors in particular, if you can set that up and then follow it up with the jet propulsion through Wooby, that would be devastating. But you have a lot of good tools for Team Liquid. They have the global, #1, can always burrow in, can always get the extra experience. They have with Deckard Cain another great hero that can control these choke points around objectives, good poking and interrupt potential through Li-Ming and Junkrat. There's definitely a game plan here for Team Liquid that can work out.
I want to see how Li-Ming's will be able to pay off here. Maiev being able to have that vault around makes it hard for you to find resets. Malfurion shouldn't be in a spot where you're able to pick him off. The front line is strong for Dignitas. Team Liquid's going to have to find those opportunities. That is for sure. Here's Team Liquid. On the left, Hasselhoff playing Junkrat, Eternal on Dehaka, Nurok on Deckard, Arcaner on Li-Ming, and Sport Billy to play Murd.
And to the right side of the map with a 1-0 lead, dominant. In the first game, we have a Wooby on Blaze for Team Dignitas with a Snitch on Maiev, as you would expect. Poik, of course, on the damage with Hanzo from the back line. JPL leading the charge with Garrosh, and Azalea on Malfurion.
Dignitas has all the tools that you need on this battleground to be able to grab the mercenary camps, but Team Liquid has that global pressure, which is something that you always have to consider. And they have the pick potential. And again, it comes down to Junkrat. Junkrat is such a wild card for me. Every time I look at that character, I'm always wondering when I walk into the map, is he going to be able to set up his team, or is he just going to kind of just fall flat and be a damage inflator? Which is always a weird question that obviously we want an answer to.
Junkrat is a weird hero for me. It's a hero that I don't really enjoy playing myself, but I always have a lot of fun commentating games with Junkrat in the game. So it's a fun one.
Dude, you gotta play more Junkrat. He can be so fun.
It's just, I don't really enjoy the playstyle.
Yeah.
It's nothing particular. It's just, it's a strong hero and he is fantastic. He can create great opportunities. That's why I love casting him. But at the same time, it's a hero that I personally just don't really like to play. But yeah, he's a funny one. I especially like the voice lines. He's that Joker style that comes out of him, that crazy laughter, is just perfect. I love it.
As long as you have somebody on your team that can finish somebody off, he can be so fun to play. But man, there are moments when you don't have that kill potential. Maybe you don't have a Grammy with you. Maybe you have a double backline that can't fully commit, unlike Li-Ming with Calamity.
Or you got like an offlaner, like in Ragnaros, that all of a sudden takes Lava Wave instead of an ult that can actually do something when you push it. All these things can definitely be frustrating, but I mean, they have follow-up, you know, there is CC and damage.
I usually like to think, though, that if I pick Junkrat after my Rag hasn't picked up, that's on me, you know, because he's obviously playing to win the game, and I've screwed up the draft. So I usually take the blame there.
I never get there. Dignitas with a couple of really nice moves against structures, though. I really like that setup that we saw from JPL and Zelia, dropping the turret in, or the tower in the mid lane here already. With heavy pressure, actually. Sport Billy just doesn't have the wave play to deal with this, and Arcana needs to rotate in. I love stuff like that. It's such... It seems like such a small thing, but Dignitas, they see there's a Murd in the mid lane, doesn't have any wave clear. Let's rotate over quickly, drop the wave within a second, and then go straight in and take down one turret. And it's a small thing to set yourself up in the early game, especially after we had, of course, the experience changes coming to the towers. Some of the XP that you used to get or by destroying a tower are now moved over to the fort, so you get from the entire complex still the same amount, but it is distributed differently. So an early snipe against the tower is not quite as impactful anymore, but it still matters. And it's one of the reasons why Dignitas is finding themselves a little bit ahead in experience here.
And now they'll be able to clear up this camp in the middle and have their own camp pushing, which will go straight forward forward. So this next tribute that spawns up can be something that Dignitas can play for, or they can decide to move straight in and attempt to put that fort down low in health. Hanzo's already in the bottom lane, and he can be here to slow down Hasselhoff from getting that channel.
I mean, one of the things, again, that you can take away for your own Hero League games, and I'm sure most of you have heard that already or seen it here in Pro Play, if you take mercenary camps, just don't simply take them. try to time them around objective. You can defeat the mercenaries first, but you don't always have to immediately cap that thing. You can wait a little bit more just so that you have an advantage. And just look how much Team Liquid is already suffering at the hands of the timing that we saw for Dignitas with their own camp. That mercenary camp is now heavily pushing through the mid lane. It forces Junkrat to go into the middle, and as soon as he shows, Dignitas makes their play. As soon as Junkrat appears in the mid lane, they know there's a hero missing at the bottom fight, so they immediately go for the tribute. And the only thing that Liquid can try and do is buy time for Junkrat to defeat the camp in the middle and rotate Junkrat back down. And that's what they're currently doing here. But it opens up opportunities for Dignitas.
Think of them as a player. Are they able to pull something off because we are trying to stretch the map thin? Junkrat did defend that middle lane. Some minion waves are being missed, and you see that resulted actually in the experience as the Team Dignitas jumps up a little bit here. But Seven still connects him for Team Liquid. Dehaka can still rotate at any point, so Dignitas is playing it slow. And speaking about slow, though, Team Liquid, they ramp up the speed as they put JPL low on health.
Here's the interrupt potential from Liquid that we mentioned during the draft with not only Junkrat but also Li Ming. You have so much poke here. There's of course a fair amount for Dignitas too, but it made it very difficult for Dignitas to lock in that first tribute. But both of the teams are still fighting around it. Scatter Arrow doesn't hit though, and Hazops is able to complete tribute number 1 for his team. Good damage in the mid lane though. That camp definitely did some work. The fort already at 60% HP. So Dignitas still ahead in experience and has a structural advantage on the map too. But the objective goes to Liquid.
Yeah, Team Liquid right behind them. And remember, they open up their own turrets, they'll be able to close that gap. It's not that too massive for them.
With rotations on this game and oftentimes fights being forced by you trying to force a reaction out of your opponent on another lane, here is a little bit of a game of... It's a test of you being able to count a 5, and it's actually amazing how many people fail that test. So it's one of these things where you will see that in pro game probably over and over again. For someone to split a hero off onto an off lane, once he appears on the map and you know they're only with 4, they're with 3, and you have a numeric advantage, then you make your move. And that's what you will see on the minimap throughout the entirety of any pro game on a higher level.
Sometimes comes down to a game of chicken too, kind of, right? Are you going to deal with this night camp? Are you going to deal with this? Are we going to force a fight here instead? And trying to figure out how to mitigate that game of chicken so much to the point where you have the legit calcs to fight.
I mean, taking a night camp is nothing else but a bargain with the future. You invest time right now so that a few seconds later or a minute later, your opponent will have to invest time to take that camp down themselves or risk losing structures. That's what you do. And once you have taken that opportunity and taken that time, then your opponent has a choice. Do I risk losing structures or do I invest that time? And of course, you need to time this yourself around something that's happening on the map, like an objective spawning, like you setting up a push on the other side of the map. Something along those lines. And that's always where the strategy comes in. Now with both teams taking that boss, we have Team Liquid again a little bit on the back foot since they didn't have the level 10 available when Dignitas did it. So Dignitas was trying to posture up in the mid lane. Liquid now has the heroics so they can defend, but we still have a fairly even trade.
Yeah.
With Liquid gets actually a lot out of it because they had the defense set up at the top lane with a Siege Giant camp in addition to Dehaka himself, so that really helped with the boss defense.
A global factor is really keeping Team Liquid in the match here. Being able to also tie them up on tributes 1-to-1 means that we get to the mid game with heroics popped up. This actually gets us through the early game shenanigans that you've seen from some teams that maybe it'll grab all 3 tributes and push in with a boss and take down that keep and maybe even go in for a core. Team Liquid has started to grab their night camp in the middle lane. Dignitas will do the same, and now with a second tribute spawning in the favor of Team Liquid, let's see how Team Dignitas is going to try and handle this.
Yeah, this is now another one of these situations where we haven't really seen a kill yet in the game. There's an attempt to go for sport. Billy the taunt is there, the root, the silence comes through, but it's not enough damage. Even the disc being used here against Nurok to make sure that the stay on while listen comes out too late and only hits dead air. But Arcana is already in a great spot for the interrupt here. But nope, we're having a Blaze come in and make sure that that tribute isn't taken.
That containment disc was right when Nurok was attempting to go for the stay on while listen. Snitch is incredibly good at that hero. And now Team Dignitas is trying to step up and force a fight. However, Team Liquid was able to zone in a solid manner. They controlled the top left, they controlled the bush in the middle, and they were able to finally grab this tribute. They'll go up 2 out of the 3 they need.
I mean, this is a game without a single kill, but you have seen so many tactical decisions being made here around mercenary camp timings already, bosses that were taken, the tributes that were used too, and of course always the attempt to get a kill. On Dignitas' side more so by Garrosh trying to create an opportunity, but Team Liquid, they are really playing to the strength of that composition, and I'm liking what we see so far. They're poking a lot, they're delaying tributes, and they have now put Dignitas into a position where the pressure is on Dig for the first time, because this is a tribute you can't let go if you're Team Dignitas. Liquid can decide what they're going to do here now, but they don't have to fight for this. If they feel that there's something else on the map to do or some value to be gained somewhere else, they can make that choice. The problem, of course, is that Dignitas is still ahead in experience. That's where Dignitas excels, and it's actually impressive considering that they are going up against the Dehaka.
Dignitas, with them grabbing those Giants, did peel Dehaka down the bottom lane, so Team Liquid was in this kind of spot where they didn't want to put both feet into the water, right? When they had one foot in where they can maybe defend, one to defend the bottom lane, but the moment that Team Dignitas stepped up as 5 to grab the tribute, they just completely walked away from it and gave it up.
It's weird, though, that they didn't even try to interrupt at all, considering the heroes you have.
Junkrat and Li-Ming, yeah.
I'm currently thinking if they intentionally wanted it to be taken early, but that doesn't make a lot of sense either. Both of the teams will have 13. Oh, that's bad. That's, again, the setup here for Dignitas they were looking for earlier. The disc comes out, Muradin is dead, and guess what? Decad Kane is a close second. The 13 talent advantage not even mattering in that moment. That was just a perfect isolation kill. No one expected those guys to be here. Great rotation from Dignitas. Snap call on the Muradin. And then the containment disc follow-up here against Decad Kane. And all of a sudden, Liquid is cursed, has lost 2 heroes, already a level behind. And this should snowball here. That escalated quickly.
A kill at the snap of their fingers. They grab Muradin, drop everything into him, even follow up on top of Nurok, who is trying to save his teammate with a stay a while and listen. Team Liquid will now have to suffer the wrath of Team Dignitas as a curse has been popped in, and they'll be looking to push out the lanes. They have bottom lane already pushing out, so that should be a dead fort. Dignitas should group up soon in the middle lane and attempt to grab that fort as well. They're kind of waiting for some damage to follow them up. But Team Liquid is actually looking for a fight. They come down the bottom right, and they're hunting.
Yeah, but they're not getting much out of it. Take down the wave with a Rift Tire, that's about it. Maiev still getting value at the top. Now, one of the risks that you oftentimes have when your team runs the curse is that if you don't take down any structures, you're not going to find that lead that you're looking for, because you miss out on lane experience if you group, since your minions are defeating the opponent's minions too easily since they don't have hit points. So oftentimes you're trying to still rotate heroes onto these opposite lanes just to make sure they're getting the quick wave and the minion experience. And that's what you see in the minimap, with Maiev moving to the top for these waves, Blaze moving to the bot lane. And that's the reason why Dignitas, even though they only took a few structures, are now nearly 2 levels ahead this late in the game.
Team Dignitas starting the idea of a boss, but Team Liquid's going to go over and sniff it out. They had the luxury of pulling that off with Dehaka being in the top lane. But Dignitas is close to that 16. And if they get that 16, they can make that play for that boss and try to make Team Liquid come over and fight them. But with them having the front layer defense broken down, playing safe and just playing around the tributes may be their best option. One
of the engages that Team Liquid just doesn't find, and it's something that Fnatic has actually shown very nicely yesterday, is try to create something around Muradin and Junkrat, where Muradin sets up the Stormbolt, maybe against Garrosh, and then Junkrat goes in and simply pushes him into the team. Doesn't have to be Garrosh, can be any other hero too. That's something that they are currently failing a bit to do, to get these isolation moves against Team Dignitas. And it's difficult for them to pull it off. Also with Garrosh, you always have to be a little bit careful where you throw him. But again, it doesn't have to be necessarily Garrosh, but even if you get him, if he's a bit far out, you should have the damage output with what they're running here to annihilate him then before everyone else rotates in. But they're just not creating these opportunities for kills right now, and that's a big problem. They haven't found one yet. And Dignitas is, of course, now in an advantageous situation with the level 16 talent and also the boss now moving through the top lane.
Yeah, want to make a play for maybe that keep wall, some damage on that keep too. They take it all the way up to the wall.
And again, the reason why Dignitas actually doesn't have to defend with everyone down here is because, yeah, exactly. Maiev took the Giants. Took the Giants, waited with the cap until the boss was close so that the Giants don't walk past, so the boss walks past them. And then now it's a defense where Maiev can simply do that by herself together with the Siege Giants.
That'll be cleared up. This does give Team Liquid the time to get 16 though, and remember they do have 2 out of 3 tributes, with the next tribute being in the top right corner. That'll be cursed for them, and they're going to be at 16, so they can step up and assess the situation and decide if they want to fight. And the best part too is with them having those 2 early tributes and them staying in the game here macro-wise, only a level behind their opponents, if they decide that Dignitas is better set up for taking away this tribute, they can give it up and wait for the next one.
For Liquid, they need to get some Dehaka value, and they're trying to do that. With a global hero, you normally want to be the hero that is ahead in experience, but if you are not, Dehaka is still a great ticket to try and close the gap and make sure that you are staying on a competitive level with your opponent for team fights. And that's what they're currently looking for. Problematic is that Dignitas is running those Siege Shines through the bot lane still, and dehaka is already up here topside. So there's no way for him to use the global. And in addition to that, Liquid is also on a bit of a timer.
Sonic Arrow comes out, will be the first disrupt on Arcaner, who's going for the tribute. Sportbilly actually pops his avatar early. Eternal will go to the right side and go for JPL, but he gets tossed away from the fight.
Yeah, they're going for Sportbilly. Arcana still channels though. Interrupt again, and Avatar is soon gonna be over with how early he popped it here. The bunker's on the ground, the interrupts are there. Billy is dropping out of Avatar form. Stay a while and listen, but very little follow-up, little to none. And they go again for the Dwarf, and without any Avatar, he just can't survive through that. Down goes Billy. And now the containment disc is out, which would open up another kill for them, potentially.
It has been the same plan over and over for Dignitas. Poke, deny the tribute, find Muradin, blow him up with the Twilight Dream, and make sure to follow up on top of Nurok, who's coming up to try and heal him and keep him alive, hit him with the containment disc, and get a kill. Every single time Dignitas has been able to perform this.
And now it's 4 kills against 0, level 18. They take that tribute. There's a massive push to the bot lane that has to be reacted to. That's where Li Ming and dehaka are headed. That means there's little defense in the mid lane for that 4-man push that Dignitas sets up. Not going to get them a keep, at least shouldn't, but opening up the wall is already the first step.
Gale will be down, turret will be weak. They can clear that up later. Don't have to risk anything. Waydecker can come back in about 3 seconds. They're going to back up. Next tribute is going to be in a spot that Team Liquid can't secure. Same on the other side of the map. The main issue, though, is that with them missing the middle fort and the bottom fort, it's not as defendable as you typically would look at it.
It's not only about the tribute, it's 1.5 minutes until the bosses are back up on the map. And if you look at experience, Dignitas is heading towards level 20. Very likely that by the time the bosses are in play, they have Storm Talons, and then they can again make the play they want and push with that advantage that Team Liquid is very, very unlikely to hold on their own.
I'm nervous here for Team Liquid. They're stepping up, checking every single crevice, making sure no one's hidden from Team Dignitas. They've blown up a few too many times already.
I mean, the best way for Liquid to get back into this is win simply one fight and take a tribute, which would mean curse, and that might be the opening. The arrow, though, comes out. The tether is in, and down goes dehaka, and he's not the only one. Nurok falls. Sportbilly got body blocked by the bunker, and then gets blown up as well. A good opening, but with that choke point, just grouping everyone up, the arrow was absolute money, and then comes Maiev with the tethers. Down they go one after another, and Team Dignitas is just on a rampage here.
They can make a play for keep here too, get level 20. They're gonna set this minion wave. Here's that 19. As they get closer towards that 20. He did mention the boss floating around here. In about 20 seconds, Team Liquid will spawn 4 of their members. But the boss in the top right will be up to about 25. The boss in the bottom left, 25 as well.
Yeah, they're waiting for minions here. Minions come in with the Siege Shines. That should be a keep that they eliminate. They don't.
Playing it safe here. Get in the night camp. Tributes in the bottom right. Just shark around this area.
That's an interesting choice. I'm not quite sure I get why they did that. They want to make the play for boss, I assume, but that was a free keep right there. You had 4 heroes still down for 5 to 10 seconds. You have level 20, you have a Grove of Siege Shines, and only 1 hero is there. That should have been a keep. I mean, no matter what, they're so far ahead, I doubt it's going to matter, but this is still something where I expected them to make the play.
Team Liquid has to fight this, and they're going to step in, stay on while this comes out. Sportbilly is actually able to take the boss thanks to a Junkrat nade from Hasselhoff. Riptire comes out afterwards as well, but Team Dignitas turns around. They drop the arrows. There's going to be a kill on dehaka. Snitch wanting to teleport over. Can't quite get the angle that he wants to have the cooldown, it looks like, as Poik steps up and drops a few more scatter arrows.
Boss is stolen away though. Liquid definitely holding on for dear life a little bit longer. Great play by them considering that they were down a talent in 2 levels. So they lose 1 hero in exchange for that, but that's still absolute worth because it could have been the end of it. But yeah, still, Dignitas in my opinion should have gone for the keep directly. I am very certain they could have gotten it. Decided to try and make the play for the boss, and then the thought process was very likely to end with that boss. The wall was already gone at the keep, but as is, Liquid holds on a little bit longer in this game.
Third tribute being channeled by Blaze. Only 3 members of Team Dignitas in the area, with Hanzo and Maiev defending the boss. Wellbe will have to start to back up and play it slow. He has the poke necessary to slow this down. Team Liquid isn't even close to level 20, so just playing it patient.
Yeah, you still are in a very odd spot here. Stealing the boss was great, but now you're still down a Storm Talon, so if you don't find a quick kill, how do you react to this? Top lane is getting some value though, and that might matter because it's experience that Liquid can grab once they take the fort down, but it's not going to bring them to the Storm Talons yet. And the Curse might actually even save the fort at the top.
Yep, minions holding that down. What is Dignitas going to do here? They're making the play for possibly the boss in the top right corner. They're actually rotating over, looking for someone they can pick off. Nurok holds the corner, checks the bush as well. Sport Billy out by his lonesome. JPL is able to land the Groundbreaker. And boss gets started.
Yeah, I mean, you want to make the play here while you have the level 20 advantage. You're trying to do something with this. And already they're starting to poke. In comes Snitch, the arrow, the connect, the follow-up with the jet propulsion. JPL needs to be careful, but it's a double kill right at the bat. Taking down 2, taking down 3, aiming for Nurok. And he, with the stay of listen, buys himself a bit more time, but it's not enough to save him by a long shot. Down he goes. 4 heroes eliminated again, 13 kills to 0 as Team Dignitas is calling it a day and moving in to drop the core.
Some days Dignitas may take some time to ramp up and get it together, but today that does not seem to be the case as they push in the middle lane and break down the keep. They'll turn their eyes towards the core, and they're looking to go up 2-0 over our number 2 seed, Team Liquid.
Sometimes you win and sometimes you play against Team Dignitas. The core goes down as Team Dignitas takes the 2-0 lead against Team Liquid in the best of 5 series today.
I'm a little heartbroken because I knew Team Dignitas was probably going to win the series today. But it just seems like they are still under the level, even Team Liquid right now, who has looked good the last couple of weeks. Isn't quite scratching them. First game, draft maybe not working out for them. Game number 2, Macro wasn't fully there in the way they would like. They lost a couple of kills here and there, and they fell behind 13-0 in kills. Can't even find one against Dig.
I mean, who did we have in the interview after the last series for Team Liquid? I think it was Hazops, and he said that despite the fact that they won their games, you still have to look at who they played against, that they haven't faced the top teams yet, so it's a little bit tricky to really judge the performance, and I think we're seeing why right now. Dignitas is still strong, and every time they are in the Winners interview, they're talking about how Europe is starting to catch up, but especially we come back to this consistent theme where it was always like, well, in scrims we're actually dropping games here. We're struggling a bit more than we did before. It's just very few teams seem to be able to transfer those scrim results that we hear about into the HGC play, whereas Dignitas is just by now such a well-oiled machine that they're just going in, and it's, as Ilya said last time, just another day in the office for them. Focus on your game, practice for it, prepare for it, and then just do your thing. There's no nerves involved at that point anymore. They just know what to do. They know when to do it, how to come back in a series. And again, it makes me more excited for BlizzCon if anything else.
It's impressive how of a well-oiled they are, as you mentioned, because think about it, even Murden getting locked down 3 times in a row, but not only was Murden locked down and blown up, there was always the follow-up too on the Deckard Cain. The containment disc always came out, and that to be pulled off so often, it's just a real testament to how strong they are as a team. All right, guys, we'll be right back as we get ready for game number 3. We'll see if Dignitas will end this with a 3-0 or Team Liquid will try to turn it around.